March 8th, 2016, Tuesday of the 4th week of Lent.
A reading from the book of the prophet Ezekiel. The angel brought me, Ezekiel, back to the entrance of the temple of the Lord, and I saw water flowing out from beneath the threshold of the temple toward the east, for the facade of the temple was toward the east. The water flowed down from the right side of the temple, south of the altar. He led me outside by the north gate, and around to the outer gate facing the east, where I saw water trickling from the right side. Then when he had walked off to the east with a measuring cord in his hand, he measured off 1,000 cubits and had me wade through the water, which was ankle deep. He measured off another 1,000 and once more had me wade through the water, which was now knee-deep. Again he measured off 1,000 and had me wade. The water was up to my waist. Once more he measured off 1,000, but there was now a river through which I could not wade, for the water had risen so high it had become a river that could not be crossed except by swimming. He asked me, "Have you seen this, Son of Man?" Then he brought me to the bank of the river, where he had me sit. Along the bank of the river, I saw very many trees on both sides. He said to me, "This water flows into the eastern district, down upon the Arabah, and empties into the sea, the salt waters, which it makes fresh. Wherever the river flows, every sort of living creature that can multiply shall live, and there shall be abundant fish. For wherever this water comes, the sea shall be made fresh. Along both banks of the river, fruit trees of every kind shall grow. Their leaves shall not fade, nor their fruit fail. Every month they shall bear fresh fruit, for they shall be watered by the flow from the sanctuary. Their fruit shall serve for food, and their leaves for medicine." The word of the Lord.
The response is, "The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob." God is our refuge and our strength, an ever-present help in distress. Therefore we fear not, though the earth be shaken, and mountains plunge into the depths of the sea. The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob. There is a stream whose runlets gladden the city of God, the holy dwelling of the Most High. God is in its midst, it shall not be disturbed. God will help it at the break of dawn. The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob. The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob. Come, behold the deeds of the Lord, the astounding things he has wrought on earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. There was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem at the Sheep Gate a pool called in Hebrew Bethesda, with 5 porticos. In these lay a large number of ill, blind, lame, and crippled. One man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there, and knew that he had been ill for a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. While I am on my way, someone else gets down there before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your mat and walk." Immediately the man became well, took up his mat, and walked. Now that day was a Sabbath, So the Jews said to the man who was cured, "It is the Sabbath, and it is not lawful for you to carry your mat." He answered them, "The man who made me well told me, 'Take up your mat and walk.'" They asked him, "Who is the man who told you, 'Take it up and walk'?" The man who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had slipped away, since there was a crowd there. After this, Jesus found him in the temple area and said to him, "Look, you are well. Do not sin anymore, so that nothing worse may happen to you." The man went and told the Jews that Jesus was the one who had made him well. Therefore the Jews began to persecute Jesus, because he did this on the Sabbath. The Gospel of the Lord.
March 8th, Tuesday of the fourth week of Lent. The first reading comes from Ezekiel 47, 1-9 and 12. This is the story of how Ezekiel leaves the temple and sees water coming out of the side of the temple. Now the temple is the place where the people of Israel worship, and the water signifies the idea of life coming into the land, that the people worshiping God brings life to the whole countryside. It's ankle deep, knee deep, waist deep, and then he can't even cross over it. That the abundance of God's grace, His love, is overwhelming. Now we have to remember that Ezekiel is writing this prophecy at a time that the temple is destroyed. So he's trying to tell his people that the way to recover their life, their vitality, is to rebuild the temple. Very often when we worship God in our churches, we don't realize the effect that that is having upon the world. We don't think that the people passing outside are changed by what we're doing. But there is grace that affects our hearts and also affects those who aren't even part of our community. They might not be able to sense exactly what's going on, but they can sense that something good is happening inside that church. The Gospel is from John 5, 1-16. It's the story of the man who was healed at the pool of 5 porticos. Now, archaeologists couldn't find those 5 porticos in Jerusalem, and for a while they believed that this was a fictional story made up by John. Even in the 20th century, though, they came upon a pool that was in fact divided by 5 porticos. 4 porticos with columned walkways around the edge, with one running right through the middle that would separate the men's side from the women's side. Even though the story doesn't appear in the synoptics, it's very credible because of this. In fact, next door to this pool is a pagan temple dedicated to the pagan god Asclepius. Asclepius is the god of healing. And why would pagans build a temple dedicated to the god of healing if this area were not somehow associated with healing? Well, this man has been waiting for his healing for 38 years. And Jesus comes along and says, "Do you want to be well?" Notice he's asking him whether he really wants to be well. After being sick for 38 years, the man's used to it. That's all he knows, being sick. And so becoming well is a challenge. But the man says yes. And so Jesus heals him, but he heals him on the Sabbath. Now, there is a sin being committed here according to the Pharisees, because you couldn't do work on the Sabbath. And the law was if the man was at the point of death, he could be healed. But this man has been sick for 38 years. So their thought is, why doesn't Jesus wait another day? Jesus, on the other hand, thinks, this man has been waiting for 38 years. I'm not going to make him wait another moment. And because Jesus heals the man on the Sabbath, he is persecuted by the leaders of the Jews. Notice, he gives this man life, he gives this man vitality, and the response of the leaders of the Jews is to try to put him down, try to persecute him, because they don't want to see people fully alive, something that Jesus offers us. And may God bless us.